Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Thank you for joining. We'll start in the next 1 minute. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Arafa Zain and I am the marketing manager at TAC Security. Now, a few housekeeping notes for you to note. All of you will be on mute during today's session. In case you have any questions, you can please post it on the Q&A box and we will take it up at the end of the session. We have a 10-minute slot reserved for the session for Q&A and you can have all of your questions answered. Please do not worry. In case we have few questions that are unanswered, we will certainly get back to you with a detailed response. Now, talking about moving on, let me introduce you to our webinar agenda. We have a quick opening note. We have introduction to TAC security. Then we'll be talking about the product portfolio. And definitely we have our panel discussion, which is definitely going to be with our guest speaker who's here, Mr. Parthasarathy. And the last 10 minutes is reserved for the Q&A session. Moving on, let me introduce you to our speakers. Mr. Parthasarathy, who is the CISO of a leading financial institution in GCC. We have Mr. Trishneet Arora, who's the founder and CEO of TAC Security. Mr. Manoj Tasker, who's the Senior VP of Enterprise Business, and Saransh Rawat, who's the Chief Technology Officer. Now, let me give you a brief overview about our next speaker, the very first speaker, Mr. Manoj Tasker, who is a celebrated sales professional with more than 2 decades of experience in the industry. He is someone who understands customers' needs and helps them with tailored solutions. Please welcome our Senior VP of Sales, Mr. Manoj Tasker. Manoj, over to you.
Thanks, Arafa, for that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. All those who joined the session, welcome and thanks for joining in. My name, as Arafa mentioned, is Manoj Tasker, and I'm the Senior Vice President for Enterprise Business at TAC Security. Who is TAC Security? Where did we come from? Couple of questions that people will be asking because we are new to the region. Well, being new to the GCC region is one part of it. We have been around in the cybersecurity business since 2013, which does say that, hey, we have been in the business, but we're still young and we're still nimble. We are part of Gartner's Customer First program because let's understand the basics fact. Every customer is important for us, no matter how big, no matter how small. And that drives our entire security adoption. Our entire company ethos revolves around ensuring that the customer comes first and he is satisfied with the services that we provide, with the products that we provide. And that is the primary goal of TAC Security. Started off from a small office in Mohali by Trishneet Arora, who's our CEO and the founder. And we've reached NASDAQ, which is a very big achievement for us. Having said that, we've also been a publicly listed company in India with the National Stock Exchange in the month of April this year. So we've achieved a lot of milestones as we started growing, but there's a lot more to cover. We are a strategic partner for Google. All these pointers if you see, tell the story of how TAC has evolved over a period of time since 2013. Few points that make us stand out in our journey, and why TAC is the company that you should look at working with is because of our certifications. We've got CREST certified pen testing certification, which means the results that we provide after doing an activity are as per global standards. We are not just providing any mom and pop shop results. Global standards is something that we follow, which gives the customer the satisfaction and also the confidence to say, hey, what the report that TAC Security provides is acceptable everywhere. We are also PCI DSS ASV, one of the things that is required a lot of times by most of the financial institutions. We are also CERT in Empanel. That's a computer emergency response team in India. They have certain guidelines which are required to be fulfilled by every partner who gets empaneled there, every vendor who gets empaneled there. And that's as per the standards meted out by them. We're empaneled with them since 2016, and that's a long way to come from now. In 2024, we've almost covered 8 years in there, which is a long time to have a vendor empaneled and certified without dropping it even once. Google strategic partner is something I'd like to speak a little bit more about, because that is a credible reference for us. We are the preferred partner for Google for the CASA program, to the extent that Google responds to their development partners saying that please connect with TAC Security directly as a preferred partner for your certification. For someone to be mentioned by Google as a direct partner is a very big thing for us to achieve. 9 years, 10 years, 11 years of journey. As we grew, the team grew, the products grew, which basically is a testament of how the customers have looked at us and have allowed us to service them without having lost their faith in us. Go to the next one, please. So why TAC Security? Now, a lot of people on the chat channel and also people who are attending would be asking, who's TAC Security and why should we look at them? And what's so different about TAC Security? The differential in TAC Security is how we are approaching the entire security lifecycle. Cybersecurity lifecycle is not just a point product answer. It's a solution which needs to be understood and customized for the customer to be able to understand and digest the output. It's more than just providing one report. It's being able to understand the customer environment and then giving out the relevant inputs for them to improve their cybersecurity posture. And at TAC Security, we are aiming to achieve exactly that point. From the starting of cybersecurity lifecycle of yours, where the assets are scanned, where the assets are evaluated, and the assets configuration is looked at, till the time they are secured and revalidation happens across the board. We are able to handhold the customer and give them the required output, which is what instills confidence in the customer to say, hey, these guys are not just a fly-by-night operator. They come here, they understand what we're doing, and then provide us solutions. That is our unique proposition. And that proposition does not just stem across from talking. There are products, there are services which we have over the period of time improved upon and then come to deliver that. While the cybersecurity lifecycle is what is important for us, in the region, yes, we accept that we're a new kid on the block. And the new kid on the block always needs guiding hands. And that's where our two-tiered approach in the region is going to be very, very successful. The reason why I say a two-tiered approach is because we understand the region works differently. Every customer has their trusted partners. And we as TAC Security are in alignment with that methodology. When we say a trusted partner, you're working with partners in the region who've been servicing you for long as multiple years, wherein they've been providing you services of security, maybe services of audits, also products, and doing your security architecture design. All these partners are your trusted partners. And when we align with those trusted partners of yours, it becomes easy for you to adopt our solutions. Also, keep in mind, the partners won't just adopt our solution because we are TAC. We have proved our mettle. We have shown them our technology. They have evaluated us before taking us on board as a product that they would like to carry to their customers. Because end of the day, in the business of cybersecurity, you're as good as what you can deliver. And no one would like to stake their reputation on a product that does not work. So the partners have done their due diligence and then have adopted us as a vendor they would like to take to you people directly. Also, the way that we can grow is the only way we can expand in the region is by distribution. So we are having a two-tiered approach where we are going to have a distributor in place. We are going to have multiple partners below the distributor who will service you directly. Obviously, enabled and supported by TAC Security directly. Our partner program is a very comprehensive partner program wherein we handhold the partner till such time that they are completely enabled to answer your questions, to answer your needs directly. And what is this platform that we're talking about? What is this platform that we're enabling our partners to talk about? What is it that we're trying to bring across as a value, as a product, as a solution to you people? There is where the entire differential of TAC Security comes into play. TAC Security created a platform called Enterprise Security in One Framework, ESOF. This one framework is what is important for all of you to understand. You see three boxes here, or three modules as I'd like to call them. But it is not just the three modules. There are many other modules that we have in our portfolio, which we will bring out as we go across and mature in the market. And you'll hear about these modules when Trishneet comes and speaks after the demo that Saransh is going to give you. Saransh is going to provide you a detailed understanding of what this platform is. But before Saransh comes in and gives you the technical part of it, let's just understand what this platform is bringing to the table. You see the three modules here? Our mainstay of the module is ESOF VMP, or the Vulnerability Management Platform for integration. Please understand that for integration is the key word here. We are not here to replace your Tenables. We are not here to replace your Qualyses. We are not here to replace your typical scanning tools. We are here to complement them. And that's why the word for platform for integration becomes very, very critical for us. The other part of it, on the left-hand side, if you look at it, is ESOF AppSec, which is the second module for us. Now, this module has got two flavors. It's got a manual flavor as well as an automated flavor. You can avail vulnerability assessment and penetration testing services from us directly on the website. Or for larger organizations, you can sit down with us, with our technical consultants, discuss exactly what's the environment that you have. And then based on that environment, we tailor the solution for you in a physical format. Now that's where our expertise in conducting testing services, our expertise in conducting audit services plays a very important role. It is not just tools that we rely on. We are relying on the expertise of the people who are on board with us. We have a huge team with us, which delivering the services to you. On the right-hand side, if you see, ESOF WACA, Vulnerability Assessment Configuration Assessment Tool. Now this adds on to the ESOF AppSec part of it. When we do configuration assessment of the tools of your environment, we're able to tell you what is, as per the best practices in the industry, where do you stand in your configuration. And then when both these modules give their inputs into the ESOF VMP, we come up with a comprehensive cyber risk score of your organization. CRQ, cyber risk quantification, a cyber risk score, is TAC Security's unique proposition to the customers. And that unique proposition is not a standalone proposition. That proposition comes from the combination of understanding what the vulnerabilities in your environment are, what the vulnerabilities in your application are, what's the vulnerability in your configuration assessment. All these put together gives you a comprehensive understanding of what the cyber risk exposure of your organization is. Without having much to talk about on this, I would rather have Saransh, our dynamic young CTO, take us through the platform so that you can actually see it in action, because the proof of the pudding is in seeing how it is. Rather than me just talking about it, I'd hand over to Saransh to take this further.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Hi, everyone. So just,
Before moving
yeah,
on,
please.
let me introduce Saransh to the team. Thank you, Manoj, for such an in-depth briefing about tax security and goals for this region. Saransh, I know, we definitely have to introduce you. So our next speaker, guys, who's responsible for the company's technology strategy and innovation, he is someone with a deep understanding of latest trends in cybersecurity, with a keen eye on solving complex technical problems and challenges. He's none other than our CTO, our Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Saransh Rawat. Over to you, Saransh.
Thanks, Rafa, for your introduction. Hi, everyone. I hope we all are securing the assets in a good time. And just let me know when my screen is visible.
Yep, you're all good.
All right. Okay, so let's discuss about ease of what it is. And Manoj has already given us the brief about what TAC is into, what services do we provide, what platforms do we have. So we have talked a lot about the things. Now let's get into the show and see what do we exactly have. So this is our platform which we are talking about, ease of, which is enterprise security in one framework. So when we talk about enterprise security in one framework, it means it helps you to manage, create a visibility across your organization to see how your assets are performing, which means you can evaluate your score, or I would say your organization score, on the basis of your severity of the assets, criticality of the assets, and what vulnerabilities do they have. So the dashboard that you are seeing, it is attack surface reduction console. See on the top, if you just hover your mouse, you would be able to see what vulnerabilities does your assets have and what are the severities of those vulnerabilities. So before we start digging into this platform, I would just quickly introduce what is Ease of Cyber Score and how it helps. So Ease of Cyber Score is a score which is our patent and is derived from the industry standards, which helps you to evaluate the actual score and gives you a number about how your assets are performing. So if you look at the other graphs or the representations that we are showing onto the dashboard, it helps you to just quickly gather the information about your assets and the severities of the vulnerabilities. So you can see the vulnerability trends as per the vulnerabilities and the severities. You can see how many infrastructure assets you have, how many mobile applications, how many web applications do you have. You can also see the total vulnerability count of your infrastructure. So if you look at, it shows how many critical you have, how many high, medium, and low. Now, if we talk about one of the major USP of a platform, so it gives you the vulnerability history trend from monthly till your yearly trend. So if we have to see how's our yearly trend looks like, so it is easier for the CISOs or information security heads to evaluate how their assets have been improving. Since, let's say, if someone wants to see what was the performance of my assets in 2020, so they will just go onto the dashboard and will see how the graph looks like. So this is the one of the USPs of ease of. Now, quickly move on to the scan list. So this scan list gives you a quick overview of your recent scans, and it also helps you to just quickly gather the information and just circle it out or roll it out to your internal team. It also gives you the top 10 open vulnerabilities and top 10 open vulnerable assets. So top 10 open vulnerabilities means it will give you how many vulnerabilities have been open and what are the top most vulnerabilities out of them. And this will also give you the top 10 vulnerable assets. So these assets will be those assets which will give you, and which are those which have not patched vulnerabilities since a long time, and there are more critical and high vulnerabilities associated with those. So this is about the quick introduction of our dashboard. Let's quickly jump onto the how we can schedule the scan. So if you can see, so when Manoj was discussing about, we do VA and PT services as well, right? So when we talk about doing a VA, so this is where our ease of AppSec comes into the picture. So you can just start your any VA scan just entering these details, where you have to just enter your title of the scan, you have to just choose your IDs, and then choose your asset type. If it's the web application, you will choose a URL, and then it will go through the web scanning, right? And you can also do the tiering section. So we will later on discuss how will this tiering will help us to evaluate the risk and the dollar value. You can also give the authentication details here, which will help you to run an authenticated scans for your vulnerability assessment of any assets. Now, once the assets has been created, so when we generally talk about ease of what it is, it's actually the risk-based vulnerability management platform, right? So how it does and what is it doing into the system right now in the industry, it helps you to connect dots from the scanning till the closure, right? So that's what vulnerability management means. So here you can see the assets, you can see the how you can track the assets status, how you can track the scan status of your whether it be your application, whether it be your firewall network devices, etc., etc., right? And you can also download the reports in the CSV, PDF, and different formats, which would be an encrypted report from the platform itself. And once it is the vulnerabilities have been patched, you can also request a revalidation scan or rescanning from here itself, from the dashboard. So this is what we are doing, right? So what we are doing is we are automating the lot of manual stuff, which we always do, and do a follow-up on the emails. Now let's quickly move on to, now we have come on to the remediation, right? So when we talk about patching and remediation phase, it's always about patching the vulnerabilities, raising a false positives, requesting an exception, and prioritization on the basis of SLA, right? So that's what we are doing here. We are prioritizing the vulnerabilities on the basis of those criticality, and these SLAs can be defined by the information security heads, by the CISOs for their application owners or for their business heads. So here you get the cybersecurity industry SLA as well, or you can also just customize your SLA on the basis of your criticality of that particular business unit. So that's what you can do here, right? So you can just select the asset type, you can select the multiple asset types as well. Then you just have to select the vulnerability. So let's say if you want to give the SLA for 2 days to patch the critical vulnerabilities, then you will just put 2, let's say 4 for high, medium, 2, and all, so on, right? Once you click on submit, then SLA will be created, and our platform will be notifying each one of your business unit owners that this is your defined SLA and you have to patch these vulnerabilities in this particular defined SLA. And once the SLA has been breached, it will also notify the information security head or the CISO that this business unit or application owner have breached the SLA, right? So this is how you can create the different business units depending on your location of the data centers or the location of the headquarters. So this is how you can create a different business units. Now, when we talk about the remediation cycle or the closure phase, exceptions and false positives also come into the way, right? So when you have to raise a false positive, what you have to do is you can just raise the false positive from the ease of itself. You just have to mention the comments, you have to upload the evidences, and that's what you have to do for raising the false positives, right? And when you need an exceptions, so you can just go on to the approval phase and you can just let your hierarchy mode on, and that will help you to raise an exception without even following up on the email. So each one of the hierarchy individual will be getting notification about what vulnerabilities needs to be accepted, what is the compensatory controls over it, and what is the exit evidence, which is helping you to just raise an exception for some time, right? So this is how ease of exception helps you into this. Now let's move on to, so when we talk about vulnerability management, so it means what now we have to discuss about ease of VMP, right? So what is ease of VMP? Ease of VMP is a vulnerability management platform which helps you to streamline and optimize your vulnerability management, right? So what it does is it helps you to identify, it helps you to assess, it helps you to prioritize your vulnerabilities on the basis of your risk, right? So this is what our ease of VMP does. It helps you to integrate your various tools which you are using for the scanning, which you are using for the ticketing, and which you are using for your SIEM SOC or EDR or any of the services that you are having in your infrastructure, right? So you just have to integrate your connectors or your existing tools, and it will give you the holistic data and the holistic view of the data on our main dashboard. So this will help you to cut down the manual efforts of downloading the report from the different tools and assigning those responsibilities to the different team. So this will cut your whole task, which is costing you a lot of time and efforts to engaging and to identifying the vulnerabilities and the risk associated with it. With ease of, you can just cut down the time, the cost, and just let it everything on the single dashboard. So when we talk about VMP, so just 2 years back, we have made CRQ. So CRQ is a cyber risk quantification platform, which we built to convert your severity rating to the dollar value, right? So I think what CRQ is doing at the moment is it is helping you to evaluate the monetary risk and the operational risk associated with the identified vulnerabilities. So how does it work? Let's move on to that. So let's say if you're coming onto the platform and you belong to the healthcare industry, right? Your headquarters in US, you have a revenue size of this, then what you have to do is you just have to give these details, because on the basis of these details, our platform will analyze your monetary value and the monetary risk associated with your vulnerabilities. The platform has been built on the FAIR model, and this is what it shows on the dashboard when you evaluate the monetary risk associated with those vulnerabilities. So it will help you to analyze what is the dollar value associated with the vulnerabilities, what can be the risk for that particular business unit, what can be the risk from your tier 1 applications, tier 2, and as you can see, the major risk is from the uncategorized assets, right? So that is the major threat which we always see when we talk about CRQ. So here it will help you to analyze how your monetary value and operational value can be affected when these vulnerabilities can be found in your infrastructure. So this is what we have in ease of. So it is, if we have to just cut it down and we have to conclude about ease of, so what does it mean is it helps you to integrate everything on the single dashboard so that you can just create a visibility across your organization, across your teams, and get those monthly cycles done within a weeks, right? So thanks for joining us. Over to you, Rafa.
Thank you, Saransh. Thank you for such a great technical overview. I mean, it was really, really informative, I'm sure. And moving on, let me introduce you guys to our next speaker. He is someone who's a true visionary. I mean, he's a man who has achieved a lot for his age. He started TAC Security at the tender age of 19 years. He is truly an inspiration to many. Please welcome our CEO, Chairman, and founder of TAC Security, Mr. Trishneet Arora. Trishneet, over to you. Trishneet, you are on mute.
I realized it just now that I was on mute. I thank everyone for joining. I wish to appreciate everyone here first. People have joined, especially Mr. Partha. that who could make it from his busy schedule on our first webinar in the Middle East. Just wish to add what problem we are trying to solve here is you have a lot of tools. Everybody has a lot of tools these days to manage the cyber risk, but those tools really sometimes does not help to understand the quantification of the risk. So we are very happy to say that, and when we are very proud to say that we are early innovator of cyber scoring. Everything has a scoring system. From we go to school, from a medical institute to a financial system, to in fact even though numbers drives us throughout the entire life, right? But cybersecurity is one thing where numbers are missing or were missing, and we are very happy to say, and we are very honored to say, we are early innovator of cyber scoring. We innovated this solution, AI-based solution, and in 2018, and this has been adopted and accepted by more than 1,000 enterprises globally from 55 countries. Some of them are also from the Middle East, Saudi, and UAE as well. Though we had just launched our operations a couple of months back in the UAE. We are very thankful the respect and the support that we have received from the region, from the co-CISOs and security leaders like Mr. Partha. Again, I'm going back to the problem statement. The problem statement here is when a cybersecurity leader wish to go to the board, say that, hey, this is our cybersecurity posture look like, and there is a lack of backing to support those understanding, right? Because the business people understand the numbers. So we not only give a score from scale 0 to 10, 0 is bad, 10 is good, but also beyond that, we also have a cyber risk quantification. And we are one of the only firm globally who has vulnerability management plus CRQ together on the same platform. You can bring a lot more tools on the platform of ESOF, and just the data, manage the throughout wide risk on a single platform. Along with that cyber risk quantification, you can quantify the risk and you can bring the ROI. ROI is something that cybersecurity leaders faces challenges to address to the board level, right? So you can go to the board and say that, hey, if I've invested $100 million last year on cyber stack of the company, and this if we could have if the breach would have taken place, we would have suffered a loss of $400 million, right? And I have mitigated the risk by investing $100 million. So ROI here by investing $100 million is approximately $400 million. So this is what ESOF beyond just a vulnerability management it does to help you to quantify the risk in a dollar value, which board and CEO and a CFO understand, the management understand. Also wish to add one thing here. We are, as Manoj already stated, we are Google's CASA preferred partner, security assessor. Anywhere that you see any application that you go to, web or mobile, you see sign in on with Google, right? So any application which uses Google single sign-on feature, they have to go through a security assessment, right? And that is a requirement by the Google and regulatory. So Google wishes to understand the risk of those application and those partners of them. So we are the only recommended partner globally for Google to help them to understand the risk of those applications that you see for single sign-on. So these are some of the credentials that we bring into the market along with the solution. It's just not a solution. We really want to help cybersecurity leaders like you to manage the entire risk in a single platform, right? So that you can mitigate the risk. If the risk, you can see the risk, you won't able to mitigate the risk. So we bring the visibility of your IT stack, and we help you to take the actions on them, right? Through backing with AI and machine learning, we auto prioritize the vulnerabilities. So these are some of the points that we wish to add here. But moreover, I wish to add, we've been receiving a great support in the region. We have already added a couple of partners in the region, and we have already added more than 20 customers in a couple of months in this region. And that's a great push and a great support that we have been witnessing in the market. And we are hoping to solve the problem of mitigating cyber risk together. So I'm inviting you to join our vision of building cybersecurity's future. Thank you everyone for joining today.
Thank you, Trishneet, for such a crisp explanation. It was truly insightful. Now, moving on to our next session, which is definitely the highlight of the webinar, a panel discussion between three great minds. We have here our guest speaker, Mr. Parthasarathy, who is a seasoned cybersecurity professional. He is the CISO of a leading bank in GCC. He has more than 29 years of experience in the financial sector and over 19 years in information security. Mr. Partha, we are truly honored to have you here with us. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule and helping us in this initiative of creating cybersecurity awareness. Now over to you, Manoj and Trishneet, for this panel discussion. You can take over.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Rafa. Thanks, Trishneet, for that insightful explanation of what TAC is doing. Good evening, Partha sir. Nice to see you.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Trishneet. Good evening, Sarat. Hi, Rafa.
Let me just start by asking a very simple question. What do you think, in your opinion, are the biggest challenges that the CISOs are facing today? Because you've been a seasoned person in this industry for such a long time, and you've seen the evolution of the role, the CISO role per se. What do you think are the biggest challenges that, in your opinion, the CISOs are looking at?
See, I would never say this statement. I had a couple of conversations with our senior management yesterday, and I would say skill is the greatest challenge. I generally do not like to make this statement, but the skill and the capability to analyze things are the greatest challenge at this point of time. Okay. Reminding everything, it's like, it's a very old story. A ship doesn't move. The captain calls many people and nobody could resolve it. So he calls an old sailor. He takes a hammer, goes and bangs the engine in a specific place, and the engine starts. So he says $50 for banging. He says $20,000 where to bang. So the challenge today is, we know, once we know what is the problem, it is very easy to resolve. The greatest challenge today is, for example, the best one, the best and the one which everybody knows at this point of time is CrowdStrike and Microsoft. Okay. It took everybody, we were not affected. A company known to us was affected. It took 3 to 4 hours to understand what is happening, who created it. Okay. So in fact, if you see across, once the problem was clearly diagnosed, the answer was quite easy. Okay. So today the challenge is the skill and the capability of people to just look through the various components and identify the problem. See, solutions are very easy. Identifying the problem is the greatest challenge at this point in time. See, there are other, you can talk about AI as a problem, or you can talk ransomware as a problem, but I found that especially the CrowdStrike incident made us just sit back and think to say that what is the greatest challenge? It is not the problems. The problem is, when the problem happens, how much time, how much skills, and look through the whole problems at a component level and find out what is creating this problem. That's the greatest challenge at this point of time. And with multiple tools around and multiple skill set required, it becomes more complicated. That's what I would say.
This kind of prompts me to think, sir, how much security is good security, and how do you respond to the threats that come because of too much security?
See, there is nothing like too much security. My personal gut feeling is, I always make this comment: even in a democratic country, all are equal, but the president and the prime minister has a differential security protocol. So, so at the end of the day, there is nothing like a equal security. You're required to classify, and you have to take what is critical, and the critical gets the maximum security. So that's the first one to start across. And the second question is, what is the worth of the thing what you are protecting? I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I'm in the information security business. We used to say, if the cost of finding a fraud is more than the fraud, just ignore the fraud. So,
Nice one.
so the question today is, what is inner security is depending upon what is the data subject you are trying to protect across. From that, it evolves to say that how much you want to spend about. So it is very, very, I would say it's very contextual, and it depends upon situation to situation. And, the less in the security, we always have confidentiality, integrity, and availability. At this point of time, we have been giving a lot of importance for availability and confidentiality. The confidentiality is the twin brother is privacy. But the least spoken, but it's going to have, I don't know when that thing is going to happen, is when a havoc falls, people will understand the importance of integrity. Because I find in every environment, starting from a medical field to a banking industry, integrity is the most important thing. At the end of the day, that's no use in me giving you a spiked drink, right? So that's where it stands across.
Fantastic. That is a wonderful insight and kind of explanation as to how much security you can work around, because cyber threats are increasing on the day-to-day basis. There's nothing stopping them, and even vulnerabilities for that matter keep increasing. And like Saransh kind of mentioned during the demonstration, the cyber score that you read out of it, the practitioners need to understand what is to be prioritized first. Now, given that piece, today we've seen how the vulnerability market has moved from being a once in a while scan to a once in a month or a 2-month scan to now a weekly or near real time scanning. Where do you think this market will shift to now? Keeping in mind that the risk exposure needs to be more categorically understood.
I'll tell you, I just attended a Gartner event. I was there for a week in UK. There, one CISO from the European countries was asking a VC who was participating, who specializes in investing in security companies, to say that when can we hold the companies which are supplying codes. I'm talking about operating system, web server, app server, database server, applications, and security products as well, responsible for the codes. And another person from banking industry said, let us say as a bank, I give you a statement of account and I say I'm not responsible for the integrity of the statement. If you find mistake, you have to come back to me and I will correct it on my own time, and I might correct and give you after 35 days. Now, will the software industry person bank with such a bank? So, at this point of time, all of us are aware that the softwares are given without warranty, guarantee, and indemnity, and it is the responsibility of the end user to use it across. But that VC came out very clearly to say that the DORA Act of European Union is going to bring in some type of accountability on all software vendors. And even if they went to the extent to say that even if the company cannot sue and seek a compensation, the DORA enables the regulators to unilaterally, what do you call a suo moto, they can take the case and they can fine the vendor. Okay. Like what is happening on the privacy side.
Mm-hmm.
And see, and one more thing which I want to talk about is with regard to this RVBM is the RVBM is a tool which is very useful, this one. But I find the next people who are responsible for this situation is that there's a lack of, I would say, a structured way of working by the various technology teams actually. Okay. In fact, they allow it to become so cumulative that you really do not know now which one to handle across. It is not a problem. I would say it's more the procrastination of not doing a right thing in the right time, which over a period of time becomes so big, it becomes impossible for the organization to catch up across. And I would say before the IT team, the most important persons, the business people, not understanding that today technology is like a nervous system. If the technology breaks, the company breaks. See, after the CrowdStrike and Microsoft event, if you ask across, people understand today the biggest risk which any institution is running at this point of time is only technology, because it freezes you. If that is not available, all your activities comes to a standstill. Okay, so that's where it stands across. So the business required to understand, participate, and probably enable the teams to do the right thing in the right time by providing right resources, so that it doesn't reach a level where the organization suddenly feels I have mountains of problems to resolve. I don't know what to do now.
Trishneet, this brings me to a question that I want to ask you. Having founded TAC Security at such an early age and kind of built on the ESOF VMP solution, how effectively are you solving this problem, of which Partha sir just talked about? How much and how less?
I think CTO would answer this question would be better. If coming from a CEO would sound like a business response, right? But Mr. Partha has already stated one very good example. That's if the fraud investigation cost is higher than the fraud, it's not we should not be bothered, right? I've seen companies like been very fortunate as part of Forbes Business Council and a Technology Council. I've attended multiple board meetings in past couple of years, from New York to San Francisco to Dubai as well, in India as well, right, on cyber front. I've seen CFOs and CEOs stating that, hey, what if this breach happens? What is the cost of the breach? And they say that, hey, if we CISO say that, hey, if we by chance, if we don't mitigate this vulnerability, this risk, we might occur this business risk, right? And sometimes the business risk is cost is lower than the mitigating the risk. I've seen that, right? Because it's not just buying the tool, it's always also putting the resources on the job, right? So I've seen the board and the management, and now we being a public company, we also understand from that side of the table, right? So I've seen people passing on at the board level the mitigation, right? They accept the risk. Because they say that, hey, if we don't bother here, we can invest same resources and time somewhere else, and we can, end of the day, we can deliver better results to our stakeholders and shareholders. But on a point, I think everything should have a quantification, especially if a dollar has been invested. What is the ROI of that dollar a company has received. That's very important in this frame for cybersecurity leaders like Mr. Partha. They can go to the board and say that if this has been invested, this is ROI looks like. Today, I think that lacks in the ecosystem. That's missing. So that should be one point to be added. Second point, I think understanding the business and the technology together and making as a combination solves a lot of problems, right? Because I don't see, and I think, in fact, last time I attended World Economic Forum, also stated there as well, and also learned from a lot more business leaders of the different part of the world. Cybersecurity is one of the hot topic, a concern area for business leaders, right? And among large organizations, not only small or the government, but across the industry size. Cybersecurity is not a technology issue, it's a business risk, right? So if we bring this as a combination of technology and business, I think we can fight better in this era of AI, machine learning, blockchain, and all of that together. Security is a center point of it, right? And organization center point is always remains a business and would always remain a business. AI would come and go, different technology would come and go, but business would remain center point of any organization, right? If two things become a combination, technology and business, I think no one can stop the growth of a company and of any leader as well.
Awesome. Hey, that was a nice response to how technologists will answer and respond to it. Which brings me to a question, which will have two aspects to the answer, which I'm expecting. One, obviously, I would ask Trishneet to respond to it from a technology evangelist, a product-led company CEO, and again, and from Partha, so your side, as a practicing CISO, what would be the near 3 to 5 years, or let's say 3 to 4 years time frame? What would you be looking at from a solution perspective? What would you be looking at from a technology perspective?
Okay. See, I hope I'm not mute. Okay. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
See, if you look at it today, AI is promising, AI is everywhere, but AI is lacking consistency. It is more than me telling it across. I can just quote Stanford and MIT professors stating that it will not increase the productivity of business problems and business problems resolution by more than 14%. Okay. So at this point of time, the AI is more a type of an executive assistant who can just write a prissy writing and giving it across to you. Okay. And the second thing is no AI vendor will accept responsibilities that are taken by the AI. So you require to bring in a human being in between to take the decision. And that is where, in fact, when I asked this question once to a senior person in the Microsoft, they said we are named our product as Copilot, not Autopilot. So, I felt it is a very beautiful answer because it is Copilot. So in fact, Copilot is much inferior than the main pilot because he takes the decisions finally.
Yeah.
So the question is, so he said humans are still a main person. And the second aspect, if you look across today, is the concept of data being used as a sovereign data. That brings in a lot of data residency challenges, so it's not going to be a unified, centralized solutions. Even the cloud providers are forced to open shops in multiple countries in the jurisdiction of physical perimeters. Okay, so that is something which you require to look upon. Manoj, I require to really excuse myself. I have to just get into another urgent meeting. I'm extremely sorry. I wouldn't do this, but I just got a call. That's the reason I was just peeping into my mobile. So I will just, please excuse me. I'll just drop out. And I'm extremely sorry that I had to drop out at this point of time. I'm extremely
No
sorry.
problem, sir. I understand.
Okay.
Things have come at the last
Thanks,
minute.
Trishneet.
Thanks a lot for
Thanks,
coming, sir.
Manoj. Thanks, Saransh. We'll
Thank
catch
you,
up
Mr.
later.
Parthasarathy.
Bye. Thanks.
Good
Thank you
have-
very much.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Arafa, up to you.
That was indeed a great discussion. I'm sure the audience would have learned a lot and gained some great insights. Thank you so much to all the speakers. Now we are open for some questions. Saransh, can you help me read out questions in the Q&A box and answer it?
Yes.
Just
Alright.
to Iman Sheikh. Hi, Mr. Sheikh. Wish to answer the last question, then give it to Saransh for other two. Can you explain how ESOF risk-based approach helps prioritize threats, especially in industries with critical infrastructure such as oil and gas or finance, right? Amazing question, right? Mr. Sheikh, if we look at this way, today you recognize your team identify 100 vulnerabilities in a week from different traditional VA and VM tools, right? And does it go to a right team for patching them? The answer here is no, right? And if it does go automatically, what to prioritize and what not to prioritize, right? That answer has always remained missing. So what here we do is auto prioritize those vulnerabilities on the basis of the understanding of the best business and the industry and a lot more other things we understand on the platform itself. It's not a human decides it. The system decide what to prioritize and how to prioritize. For example, a tool identify 100 vulnerabilities and 10 assets. Each asset has a different tiering and each vulnerability has a different criticality, right? And severity. So it goes to the team down the line automatically. For example, you use ServiceNow or Jira ticketing platform, it automatically assigns the ticket to those responsible people down the line. And once they patch those vulnerabilities, they fix those vulnerabilities, automatically goes back to ESOF platform and goes to traditional VA and VM tools, whatever you use, and check it out if that vulnerabilities are really patched or not. This process is 100% automated process on backed by AI, right? But if you really want to do this, at least for 100 vulnerabilities and 10 assets, you at least need 2 resources, right? So, and putting those resources as an investment, and there is a chances of, mismanagement and also, accuracy also, right? So that's what exactly we do. We prioritize the risk on the risk based, what is the risk of that asset and the criticality of that asset and the vulnerability, and also one more layer above and over on it. For example, its asset is tier 1 and vulnerability is critical. You need to patch it within 48 hours as per the SLA, right? You can define the SLA. But however, if that you have put a layer above and over of that, that means you don't need to patch that vulnerability within 48 hours, right? That means the criticality of the vulnerabilities goes down automatically. This decides by ESOF platform itself by AI backed prioritization SLAs, and therefore we manage the prioritization threats. We prioritize the threats through AI as a risk-based vulnerability management. Hope I could answer your question and could response what exactly you've been looking for. Yes, over to you, Saransh and Manoj, please.
Yes, so I will take up the next question from Peter Mendoza. So, can you scan middleware and containers, also software components and libraries? Yes, we do. So we can scan middleware and containers through our tool, which is Ease of VACA, which is Vulnerability Assessment and Configuration Assessment. And for software components and libraries, we anyway have the tool in the Ease of AppSec, which helps you to run the scan of your source code, your external libraries, and your components so that you can see and evaluate the vulnerabilities and outdated version or packages out of those codes. So yes. And I will just take up the next question from Peter Mendoza. So every popular VA tool today has a good scoring mechanism also, and even does TI-based prioritization. There are many vendors already doing multi-source data aggregation and CRQ. How is TAC different? So how we are different? So actually, we have built this platform a long before. And when we talk about AI, so right now we are discussing about AI, but we have integrated AI in a platform before 2020 as well, right? So this is what we are into, and we have built a lot of features along with CRQ and prioritization. We do have prediction model, which is completely based on AI and ML. We do have models which help you to prioritize your risk and just do the scoring on the basis of those criticality and the severity associated with those particular assets. Yeah, I hope I answered all the questions. I think we are running behind the time, so I will just quickly give it to Arafa. Arafa, over to you.
Sorry, just wish to answer the last question
Yes.
from anonymous attendee. That's okay. All of the attendees are on a high, topmost priority for us. They have attended. We really appreciate that. Everybody has spare time. So, who are your your competitors in the global market? Uh, our competition is definitely all traditional tools. Along with that, a manual service providers, managed security services provider, who help you to prioritize the risk, but manually, right? We bring the automation, we bring the AI so that you can manage the risk on a single platform on autopilot mode. You don't have to invest resources, time, and human resources. I mean to say that, right? So everybody that who manages claim to manage the vulnerabilities, we are competing with them because we are trying to automate it. That's point number one. Second point, if you see any vulnerability management company which ingests the data, like for example, Saransh mentioned, ingest the data and try to auto prioritize and tell you this, right? We have more than 100 unique features, not features which is add-on on that. We have more than 100 features. For example, we'll tell you what are your top 10 threats, what is the aging of that, right? Beyond that, auto prioritization. And the biggest part is we are one of the only firm globally in the vulnerability management space which has inbuilt cyber risk quantification.
Right.
You can quantify the risk in a dollar value, and moreover that you can also calculate your cyber insurance premium, right? So today, if your cyber insurance premium is X amount, $1 million, tomorrow, if you mitigate the risk, it can go down. So you can use ESOF CRQ platform and go to cyber insurance company and negotiate cyber insurance. So there are a lot more features. The biggest thing is that we work with a Fortune 10 company to Fortune 500 companies, American government to more than 15 different governments in the world, right? We have more than 1,000 enterprise customers. To name some of them are Salesforce, Autodesk, Nissan Motors, Microsoft, Google, and all of them, right? So we are head of the game already. So that's some of the values that we bring onto the table. And one more is that we customize as per your needs. For example, if you want to see something not on the left, on the right, we do it for you because we consider customers require more than anything else. Hope.
Saransh, would you like to answer the question that Peter has asked again? What can CRQ be used for?
Yes, absolutely. I think Trishneet has already answered it, but yeah, I definitely take this up. So CRQ, as Trishneet mentioned, it can help you to get risk and cyber insurance at a very lower cost. So when you have CRQ in place, when you have this platform in place, it will help you to get the insurance at a very lower cost, depending on your risk level and the risk score.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Peter, CRQ is also useful when you're looking at prioritizing how you fix your vulnerabilities. Because typically, most of the tools that you work with in the market will look at two factors when you look at prioritization. One is the CVSS rating or the scoring, and the second is its exploitability. Now, when you add onto that your other components like your SIEM's alerts, you add your endpoint alerts, add your application vulnerability alerts, that gives you a more holistic rating of cyber risk exposure that you have. And then it tells you what is more critical for you to fix first. That can only be achieved when you have cyber risk quantified in a holistic manner and not just from a vulnerability standpoint. I hope that was able to answer your question.
Okay.
Arafa, I think so we've done with questions.
All right then. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Here are some links to our social pages, like our LinkedIn page, our Instagram, Facebook, email ID, and our website. Do check it out. Please follow us, and you can always reach out to us. We are here to help. We have an on-ground team here, and almost all the attendees have access to my email address for any queries or any requirements. Please feel free to reach out. And I would definitely like to thank all our speakers. Special thanks to Mr. Partha, who just left, but we are grateful to him for helping us create awareness about cybersecurity. Thank you, Trishneet. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, Saransh, for sharing all of your insights. And I'm sure the audience loved the session, and they would have learned a lot through this. And lastly, but not least, but thank you so much to our audience. You have been a great audience. Thank you for being so interactive. Without you, definitely the webinar wouldn't have been successful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.